وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من حال أهل النار لله تعالى. So we reached to at-tayammum. The author said, the person who cannot find water or is harmed by water makes tayammum. After the time of what the person is performing tayammum for has set in, the non-exempted najis filth has been removed. Tayammum is performed by wiping one's face and hands, including forearms, with the dust of unmixed, purifying, and dusty soil in the aforementioned order in 2 strikes with the intention of making the performance of the obligatory prayer permissible while transferring the dust of the soil and wiping the first part of the face. So that's the process of the tayammum. And the purpose of the tayammum is when a person, they cannot use water. So sometimes a person can't use water because he doesn't have any, or he only has enough to drink. So if he only has enough to drink and to survive, then he has to make tayammum for prayer, so that he can pray. And sometimes the person, he does have water, but he needs to make tayammum because if he uses the water, he'll be harmed. So what does that mean? That means if he uses the water, he'll become sick or sicker, or he'll become paralyzed, or he'll have like some disfigurement in his face. So basically using the water harms him. Or there is water but he can't get to it. So there's a predator or a lion or an enemy that is between him and the water, and if he goes to use the water, he'll be harmed. So in this case, he cannot use the water. So what does he do? He makes tayammum. So how does he make the tayammum? So first, he has to wait until the prayer time that he wants to pray, until that time starts. Then after that, he has to make sure that he doesn't have any unexempted najis filth on his body. So someone might think, how could he remove the filth off his body if he doesn't have water? So that's a really good question. So the answer is, he only had enough water to remove the filth, and so after he used the water to remove the filth, now he makes tayammum. Or he didn't have water to begin with to remove the filth. So in this case, the scholars, they have 2 sayings. One saying is that he just prays as he is, and without making tayammum, like the person that doesn't have water or soil to make tayammum, and then he makes it up later. And the other saying is that he tries to lessen the filth of his body as much as he can. So like he scrapes it off with something until like it becomes as least as possible, and then he makes tayammum. So those are the 2 ways for that. So how is tayammum done? It's very easy. You have to have soil that is dusty, that's not mixed with anything else, like ashes or najis, and that has not been used before to make tayammum. So basically, he taps the soil with his palms, and then he rubs his face, the same area that for wudu, and then he, with the intention, when he hits, he has the intention, I now intend to make the tayammum for the prayer, or I intend to do the tayammum so that I can pray the obligatory dua prayer, for example. So he has this intention while he taps the soil and he's lifting up his hands to his face until he touches his face. Then he rubs his face the same area that he does for wudu, and then he taps the soil again, and then he rubs his hands in the same way that he does for wudu, and that's it. That's what the tayammum is. That's the minimum. He can tap it more than twice. So he can tap it once and then rub his face with the intention, and tap it again and rub his face again. Then he taps it and he does his arms, and he taps it, he does his other arm. So he can tap it as many times as he needs to, but the minimum amount that he has to tap is 2. So he can't do it with just 1. So if he taps it once and somehow manages to wipe his whole face and both of his arms, it won't be valid. He has to do it at least twice.
So no feet, right?
No feet, yeah, so just the face and the hands. Now in other schools, according to other imams, you can make tayammum with other than soil. You can use a stone, You can use any natural rock to make tayammum. That's according to Imam Malik. So if you ever need to do it, you can use that. You can know that you can use that if you can't find soil. Dice el autor, si uno necesita rezar pero se encuentra en estado de impureza ritual, hadath, y uno no puede encontrar agua o le haría a uno algún daño al usarla, entonces uno ejecuta la purificación seca, tayammum. El tayammum se realiza después de que el tiempo de rezo haya entrado y después de que la suciedad najas, que no es exenta, haya sido removida. El tayammum se realiza usando tierra que no ha sido mezclada, cual es purificante y polvorienta. Uno golpea la tierra con la parte interior de las manos, luego uno hace y mantiene la intención de realizar el tayammum mientras transfiere el polvo de la tierra del suelo hasta que éste sea aplicado en parte de la cara. Uno lo pasa por toda la cara y luego golpea la tierra por segunda vez para pasar el polvo aplicándolo en las manos y antebrazos. Entonces el tayammum es un tipo de purificación que se hace cuando el musulmán no tiene agua o no puede usar el agua. No tiene agua físicamente, no tiene acceso al agua. Y por otro lado, si tiene el agua, pero le hace daño usar el agua, como si tuviera una enfermedad o tuviera una quemadura en el cuerpo que no puede usar el agua, entonces hace el tayammum. En este caso, tiene que esperar que el tiempo entre, que el tiempo de rezo entre, y tiene que quitarse la suciedad najas que no es exenta. Tiene que remover la najas que no sea exenta de su cuerpo. Entonces, si tiene, por ejemplo, vómito en su piel, tiene que quitar esa suciedad najas con agua y después hacer el tayammum. Pero si no tiene agua para remover esa suciedad najas, entonces no tiene que hacer tayammum y reza de la manera que está, y después de cuando pueda encontrar agua, repone ese rezo, reemplaza ese rezo, pues hace ese rezo otra vez. Entonces la manera de hacer tayammum es que pone las manos, las palmas sobre la tierra que tiene polvo, y mientras pone sus palmas en la tierra, pone la intención en el corazón que está haciendo el tayammum para poder rezar el rezo de Duhur, por ejemplo, y mientras está subiendo las manos para ponerse las manos en la cara o para transferir el polvo de la tierra del suelo hasta que se lo aplique en la cara, tiene que tener la intención en el corazón. Entonces, después de que hace eso, él aplica la tierra sobre su cara de la misma manera que lo hace cuando hace vudú. Entonces, los mismos límites de la cara tiene que aplicarse el polvo, y después golpea el polvo otra vez o la tierra otra vez y aplica la tierra o el polvo en sus manos y los antebrazos. Entonces es lo mismo que tiene que hacer dos veces, pero lo puede golpear la tierra más que una vez. Section 12. Prohibitions upon the person while in the state of minor ritual impurity, the junub, and the menstruating or postpartum bleeding woman. The one whose ablution wudu is invalidated is prohibited from performing prayer, circumambulating the Kaaba, carrying or touching the Quran, Mus'haf. However, the Mumayyiz child who does not have ablution is permitted to carry and touch the Quran for the purpose of studying. It is unlawful for the junub to do any of the aforementioned matters in addition to reciting the Quran and staying in a mosque. It is unlawful for the woman who is menstruating or has postpartum bleeding to do any of the aforementioned matters, in addition to fasting before the bleeding ceases, allowing her husband or owner to enjoy the area which is between her navel and knees before she makes the obligatory whole body bath ghusl. Some scholars said that anything in reference to this issue other than sexual intercourse is not prohibited. So these are the things that are forbidden to do if the person has broken their wudu, or if the person is junub, or if the woman, she is menstruating, or she is in her postpartum bleeding. Dice el autor, a la persona que invalidó su wudu se le es prohibido realizar el rezo, dar la vuelta al Kaaba o cargar o tocar el libro del Qur'an, Mushaf. Sin embargo, el niño que ha alcanzado la edad de discriminación mental, mumayyiz, y está estudiando el libro del Qur'an, se le es permitido cargarlo y tocarlo sin wudu. Es ilícito para la persona que emitió maní, junub, hacer lo anteriormente mencionado, al igual que recitar el Qur'an y quedarse en una mezquita. Es ilícito para las mujeres que están menstruando o sangrando por posparto hacer todas las acciones antes mencionadas. Además, es ilícito para ellas ayunar antes de la cesación del sangrado y permitir que el esposo o amo disfrute el área que está entre su ombligo y sus rodillas antes de haber tomado el baño purificador o ghusl. Sin embargo, algunos sabios dijeron que cualquier cosa que no sea copulación es permitida. Entonces, si la persona no está en wudu, no puede rezar. Entonces no puede realizar el rezo, cualquier rezo, ya sea obligatorio o recomendado. Y también no puede hacer lo que se llama tawaf, dar vuelta al Kaaba, y también no puede tocar o cargar el libro del Qur'an, Mushaf. Entonces aquí se está refiriendo a cualquier, digamos, un papel que tiene versículos del Qur'an escritos para el propósito de recitar. Aunque no sea el libro entero del Qur'an, pero si ese papel tiene versículos del Qur'an para recitar, entonces eso no se puede tocar o cargar sin el wudu. Ahora, si hay algo que tiene el Qur'an escrito para protección, entonces en este caso no se necesita wudu para tocar o cargar. Ahora hay una excepción para el niño, es decir, el que no es puber, que ha alcanzado la edad de discriminación mental, mumayyiz. Si él está estudiando el libro del Qur'an para recitar o para memorizar, no es requerido que él tenga wudu, porque eso es un ánimo para él estudiar el Qur'an. Entonces no se le exige que tiene que tener wudu cada vez que va a estudiar el Qur'an. Pero para otro propósito necesita el wudu. Entonces, si digamos un adulto quiere que ese niño le traiga el Qur'an, no es permitido para ese adulto decirle a un niño que él sabe que no tiene wudu, que le diga que le traiga el Qur'an, porque se requiere en ese caso que ese niño tenga el wudu para tocar o cargar el Qur'an. Para la persona que emitió el maní, junub, no puede hacer lo que fue anteriormente mencionado, y también no puede recitar el Qur'an. Recitar el Qur'an significa pronunciar las palabras del Qur'an con el propósito de recitación de una manera audible. Es decir, no solamente moviendo la boca. Por ejemplo, si mueve la boca solamente sin producir cualquier sonido, no sería prohibido. Pero si está produciendo algún sonido con la pronunciación del Qur'an, con el propósito de recitar, es prohibido mientras está junub. Y quedarse en una mezquita. La mezquita, en este caso, nos estamos refiriendo a un lugar que fue específicamente dedicado para ser un lugar de rezo para los musulmanes. Este lugar, por ejemplo, no es una mezquita en este caso. Entonces, si la persona, si la mujer está en su periodo, ella sí se puede sentar aquí y quedarse aquí, porque este lugar no tiene el juzgamiento de la mezquita. Just a few things about these cases. When we say carrying or touching the Qur'an, Mushaf, it's not specific to the book that we know, like the way we know from cover to cover, it's for recitation. It's any paper, let's say, or any thing that has Qur'an written on it for the purpose of recitation. So there's like a piece of notebook paper and somebody wrote down some verses on it, or copied verses on it or printed it so that they can memorize it, so that they can read it, so that they can memorize it or read it, then they have to be on wudu to touch it or hold it. But if it was written, this paper was printed for protection, like for protection from the jinn or for protection from sorcery, then you don't need to have wudu to touch it or to carry it. When we say it's unlawful for the junub to stay inside of a mosque, we're referring to the place that has been dedicated to be a mosque. And it's waqaf in the religious sense, meaning it's not owned by any individual. It belongs to the Muslim nation, and it cannot be bought or sold or rented to be, let's say, a school or something else. It can't be turned into a library. It always has the judgment of a mosque. That place, any questions about anything? Tayyib, barakallahu feekum. It was very beneficial. Allah Ta'ala, He blesses those who they take a path to the knowledge. And the one who takes a path to the knowledge, or the one who seeks the knowledge, Allah Ta'ala facilitates his path to paradise. And in the sessions of knowledge, the angels, they surround it from the first earth to the first heaven. And there's special blessings and mercies that descend upon the attendees. And the virtue of the knowledge, like we mentioned in the first couple of classes, is that the knowledge is a weapon that helps you against the shaitan and against the nafs. So what does that mean? That means if you follow the knowledge, you'll always be victorious. Even if, let's say, you might go through difficulty, right? You might go through hardship, but in this world, the hardship and the difficulty is going to be there either way. So make sure that you always do the right thing, because when you do the right thing, even if there's difficulty or hardship that comes, but that difficulty or hardship that comes with doing the right thing is easier than the difficulty or hardship that you face for doing the wrong thing. So, and the knowledge gives you the blueprint. The knowledge gives you the steps. The knowledge tells you what decision you should make. So any person that has the knowledge and they don't implement it or they don't go according to it, they end up regretting it, and they end up suffering because of it, because they didn't follow what they learned. But the one who follows what he learns, the one who sticks to what he learns, he makes his life decisions based on the blueprint that the knowledge gives you. That person, and in the long run, he will have relief and he will have tranquility, he will have peace, and he won't suffer, and he will be happy. Even though, like, in the beginning the person thinks, this is hard, this is difficult, the things that I'm going through are hard or difficult, etc. But you'll see that as time goes on, the blessings and the good results of those decisions become apparent, and they remain. But the one who chooses other than what the knowledge tells him to choose, that person is going to regret and suffer on top of the hardship of life. So may Allah Ta'ala make us among those who hear the good word and the good information and implement it. And we ask Allah Ta'ala to make our final words La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and to make us die as perfect Muslims. Inshallah, we'll do this again more often. طيب نهلل لا إله إلا الله اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى